There have been thousands of UFO sightings reported throughout the world, but some received more publicity than others, and the stories are now entrenched in our culture. A UFO or unidentified flying object can take on many forms, but most resemble some type of otherworldly aircraft. Do UFOs actually exist? And what type of creatures are aboard these aircrafts? Today, we will explore 10 of the most famous UFO sightings. GlobalBazaar.com. Number 10. LAX in Los Angeles, 1992. This UFO sighting involved hundreds of people, photographs, and video, which prompted even skeptical media reporters to print stories. The sighting is also deemed credible because witnesses included a pilot and co-pilot who stated an unusual aircraft passed under the 747. Number 9. WESTALL Encounter, Australia, 1966. More than 200 people, including students and teachers, saw an object over Westall, Melbourne. The object descended into a field before taking off and passing over suburban neighborhoods. Most believe the object was an experimental military aircraft. Number 8. YENI Kent Compound, Turkey, 2008. A series of unusual lights were seen in the sky over 4 months. A guard at the YENI Kent compound first reported the phenomenon and began recording the lights over the summer. The circulated videos became well known in the UFO community. Number 7. Sao Paulo sighting, Brazil, 1986. Military planes scrambled to intercept 20 UFOs detected on radar in Sao Paulo. Reports stated the UFOs disappeared when air forces closed in on them. Most conclude the objects were debris from the Soviet space station Salyut 7, which burned as they re-entered the atmosphere. Number 6. Tehran, 1976. Both radar and eyewitnesses reported an unusual object in the sky over Tehran, Iran's capital, on September 19, 1976. Pilots of two F-4 Phantom II jet receptors later reported they lost communications and instrumentation as they moved closer to the objects. Electronics and communications worked again once they withdrew. The incident was significant enough to provoke concern among U.S. defense officials and the White House. Number 5. UFO sightings in Washington, D.C., 1952. There were several sightings of unidentified objects in the skies over the nation's capital from July 12th through July 29th in 1952. The first incident was reported when an air traffic controller saw 7 objects on radar. They didn't move as typical aircraft, prompting concern during a time when the Cold War was ongoing. Number 4. Phoenix Lights, 1997. Witnesses in 2 states and Mexico saw lights moving quickly from Nevada through Phoenix on March 13, 1997. The lights, described as a triangular formation, were also seen in Sonora, Mexico. There was another incident the same day as stationary lights were also observed, but those were identified as flares dropped in a U.S. Air Force training exercise. Number 3. Rendlesham Forest Lights, England, 1980. Multiple U.S. Air Force personnel reported eyewitness accounts of flying and landed crafts over a 2 to 3 day period in Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, England, in December 1980. The events occurred just beyond RAF Woodbridge, which was being used by the U.S. Air Force. It became so famous that it is also called Britain's Roswell. Number 2. Battle of Los Angeles, 1942. The California coast was on alert in February 1942 because of the Pearl Harbor attack occurring only 2 months earlier. There were military personnel constantly on guard to ensure the West Coast didn't face the same fate. Unknown objects, including one large one, were spotted. The large one hovered for more than 6 hours, with military personnel firing more than 1,400 rounds of ammunition and the city calling for a total blackout. Yet the aircraft appeared to never sustain damage. A picture of the battle was printed in the LA Times the next day. Number 1. The Roswell Incident, 1947. A crash was reported on a ranch the summer of 1947. Military investigators were at the site immediately to conduct an investigation. A July 8, 1947 press release from a Roswell Army Airfield Public Information Officer stated a flying disc was recovered, leading newspapers to headline their print editions with the crash of a spaceship. The government quickly retracted the statement and instead said the crash was an experimental surveillance balloon. The retraction quickly led to conspiracy theories about a government cover-up. Thank you for listening, and I hope we were able to expand your consciousness. For more information on unidentified flying objects, head over to globalbazaar.com.